Okay, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed this little tab sticking out the side of our SMB flow unit. So that's actually just an insulator that goes underneath the battery, so that when we're transporting the units, the battery isn't using any current. So if I just remove this tab now, and if you watch the screen, you should see our unit come to life. So let's pull that out. Hurrah! So the SMB flow unit has just booted up and is advertising itself. So if we tap on the SMB flow, we get the splash screen and we're straight into the settings menu and we're off, and I'll now start talking you through how to use the app. Okay guys, I'm just going to give you a quick run through how to use the app. Now the instructions for installation of SussMyBike and also for how to use the app are on our website. So if you go to our homepage and take a look for manuals or installation, you'll find it there. Okay, so we've arrived at the settings screen. We've connected to our SussMyBike. It's loaded up our app and it's plunked us into the settings screen. So SussMyBike wants to know about your fork or your shock. So let's provide it with some details. So we take a look at fork to start with. By default, we just put in 150 millimeters for the length of your fork, but you're going to need to configure that to whatever is true for your bike. So say for instance you want to set this to 160 millimeters, 160, got a 160 fork, job done. Is it coil or air? I'll leave this one in air. What adjusters does it have? Now, by default, most forks will have at least low speed compression. Some of them might have high speed compression, so we'll add that one in. On the rebound side, most forks will have low speed rebound setting. However, the high speed rebound is generally an internal manufacturer set adjustment, and you won't be able to change that. So just leave that deselected for now. Save those settings. Back out. We can now tell it a bit about our fork. Oh, sorry, our shock we're on to now. So need to do a wee bit of homework here, guys. You need to know the stroke length of your shock and also the wheel travel of your bike. So basically you need to look up your manufacturer recommended settings, or even just put a tape rule and make your best guess for the actual stroke length. I'd recommend going to the actual user manual for that your particular bike. So okay, once you've told it these two parameters, again on the compression side, shocks tend to be, or can be, a bit more sophisticated than forks. They could have all these adjusters, and it is possible. There's quite a few manufacturers now will provide you with all those. So save that. Okay, so you've told the SussMyBike unit about your fork and your shock. It knows what to do, but it doesn't know what you've actually fitted it to. So in this case, yes, we are actually on a fork, but this is, if it was a shock, you would just select the other slider. Back to fork and next. Okay, now we're on the menu screen, and what we want to do is set up sag on the bike. The first step before you do any analysis is to get the sag set up. Now, sag is about how much your bike compresses into its travel when you're sat on it. And so when you sit on the bike naturally weighs down and compresses your suspension, and how much sag you have depends, really dictates a lot of the feel of the bike. So what we want to do is set sag. So we've got a small zeroing routine that we perform before we do the sag measurement. It just takes a few seconds. All done. Now we're into sag. Now, rather than me, for the purposes of demonstration, rather than me sitting on the bike just to show you the bars moving across, I'm just going to pick the cable off the top here and just release it. And as you can see, as I move it down, the sag increases. So we're just measuring the sag here. So if you decide you want to have the bike firm, I'm just going to put that back on the top. If you want to have the bike set quite firm, you might only want, say, 15% sag. If you want it quite plush, you'll maybe set this to 30. So that means, of course, if you're an air shock, going in reducing or increasing the air pressure, and then if it's a coil shock, swapping out the springs, of course. So when we're happy with that, we say OK. Okay, the next thing after you've set up your SAG is to take a look at the analysis. So we start the analysis, we do the V0 routine, takes a couple of seconds. Now we're into recording a session. So this is what SussMyBike is all about. You want to record some data on some varied trails during what you would call a session. So start the session, start recording. SussMyBike is doing its special stuff now. It's analysing, doing hundreds of calculations per second, figuring out stuff about the way your bike is responding. So you've gone out and you've ridden for a short while, perhaps 5 or 10 minutes, over some quite varied terrain, and you want to see how much data you've gathered. You can pause the app, pause the unit actually, and then take a look at how much data you've gathered. Now, because as you remember from the configuration right back at the beginning, the fork did not have a high-speed rebound circuit, so we just completely fill that box immediately. But the rest of these other 3 boxes will all fill as you ride, and the overall progress bar will move across. And when you've got enough data, there's also a message at the top saying enough data. So at that point, when you've got enough data, do the stop results, and you're going to get to the recommendations page. Now we've got some stuff going on up here with some graphs, some rebound graphs, compression graphs and travel graphs. No data in them, unsurprisingly, at this point, but they're further and more thoroughly explained in the instruction manual, so go and have a look there and see what these guys are telling you. But I'll just take, for instance, compression, low speed compression, and we'll just talk you through how what this is actually telling you. Now, the optimal setting for your for whatever parameter it is, whether it's low speed compression, high speed compression, low speed rebound, high speed rebound, is in the center. So we want to get the sliders to move towards the center line. And so that's the optimal setting that you're aiming towards. So if we just take a look at one, let's take a look at the low speed compression slider at the top here. You can see it's two clicks. I hesitate to use the word clicks. It's 2 units of measurement away from optimal, and what it's actually giving you a recommendation: speed up. So what it's saying then is that for your low speed compression, your fork is moving too slowly, and you need to remove some damping so that it moves more quickly, as in speed it up. So you'll have to take a quick look at your manual and figure out which adjusters and what direction to turn them in, so that the fork is softer, it's got less low speed compression on it, and is now moving faster. And it's a similar technique for the other settings on the fork. And that's it. You're done. So once you've adjusted your fork, you can use the menu button. You can go back in, do another analysis session, and see what the settings are telling you now. And it's just rinse and repeat until you get the sliders to the center position, and it's all good. Final point then, the hibernate. Thank you. The hibernate button. The unit has got power saving on it, of course, and we try and switch it off between sessions and save battery. However, you really need to switch it off at the end of your session before you put it in your bag and go home. So I've got a hibernate button here, which puts the unit into a low power battery saving mode. So if you do that, it's now giving you display a quick message that this unit is now hibernating, and to use a magnet to wake it up again. And you can see we've lost connection. So to get the unit running again, then we need to use this magnet, which I'll reach down and pick up here. So we've got just a small skittle magnet which we provide with the unit. Now to restart the unit is simply a matter of swiping it along the bottom of the unit. This should grey out, that's it. Now we can select it and we restart the unit, and off we go again. So that's it. So that's been a very quick overview of SussMyBike, just the app side of things. Much more instruction, much more detailed information in the instruction manual. So please go there, have a good read, and any questions, email us on our support email address. Thank you very much.